Hey everyone, let's talk about how we as a VC see the recent developments in AI, right? And how excited we are about the future, right? Before we start, let's talk about the elephants in the room, right? The so-called large language models like ChatGPT or Baby AGI, AutoGPT, and all that, right? Along with coding assistants, right? Like GitHub Copilot or recently AWS Code Whisperer, right? How they are impacting the startup ecosystem, or not startup, the entire industry, right? So as we are slowly walking towards general intelligence, artificial general intelligence or AGI, right? It is becoming very, very easy for anybody to write good program, right? Good software, right? Not as a whole, but at least main parts of it, right? So earlier you required 15, 16-year experienced developers to actually write very well written code, right? By very well written, I mean mostly like optimized for your time complexity or code complexity or all that thing, right? But now you don't actually. A 2-year experienced developers can ask these generative AI models to help them write the code, which might not be optimized, but then ask it to optimize it, right? Ask it to make this code much more optimized, right? And it will do that, and you will get a very well written code back, right? Well, we have seen a lot of demo that has been going around in the internet right now, whether it's creating a Twitter clone or and and file sharing application or whatever, right? It's still in its nascent stages, right? I would say it's not up to the point where you can actually create a full-fledged application via AI alone, unless and with zero knowledge of coding or development or deployment or anything else. But this can help developers a lot, right? If they know what they are, what they want it to do, right? If you have the basic understanding of debugging, basic mistakes, right? You can very well use these tools to create very, very powerful applications, right? Like for example, one of the age-old problems in development, right? Regex for or regular references for email validation, right? Every time somebody wants it, everybody who I know, they usually go to internet and look for an email project, and a ton of them come up, and nobody knows which works, which doesn't work, right? And coding assistance like this helps you pick the best projects, right? So that kind of niche use cases are where this kind of models currently shine, right? Second thing is there are a lot of use cases for this technology itself, right? Like for example, parsing a PDF file and give you and make it question answerable, right? So you have a 200-page book and you want to understand, you want to ask it a question, right? You'll be able to do that with this kind of models, right? And another example would be, passing it all the teachers' note in the last 1 year and ask it to, give me what are the questions that that I should check for, right? Or what I should refresh my memory for, right? And it does give you it does do a pretty good job of summarizing all that information and giving you in a very, very capsule manner, right? So there are a lot of companies who are currently working on these kind of use cases as well, right? And going forward, we see that there will be very niche use cases where people keep on finding different ways of using this amazing technology to create products which solves real problems, right? Or explore and create a solution which doesn't exist right now, right? People's imaginations are wild, right? So having said that, right? And this again has been recently validated by AWS coming up with their new Bedrock program, right? They have their own foundational models and help developers create applications via their APIs, which I would say is reinforcing the fact that API based models and more applications which takes advantage of these kind of models are going to explode in the future, right? Having said that, right, when I speak to a lot of my friends in the VC, right, people think that now VCs, not just VCs and startups also, right? People think that now VCs are wary about investing in AI software businesses, right? Uh, Primarily because of the rapid development of the technologies, right? It is very hard to for any technology company to keep their technology model, right? Uh, which could be a fair statement to say to some extent, I would say, because if you're have a workflow application, yeah, it might be easy to replicate, but uh, most of the time VCs were not looking for applications which were hard to code, right? Which is the problem all these models are now solving, right? If you know what a function should do, you ask the language model to write a function for you, it will write the function, right? That was never the mode which was there, right? The mode was always how the founders, what kind of ingenuity the founder have, right? The domain experience, their market approach, how they create different solutions out of uh, you know problems, right? That was the mode. Technology was a way of achieving that, right? And I think going forward, that continues to be the case, right? As a good founder will always find ways to use technology to their advantage, right? And going forward, we see that happening more and more, right? With all this advancements in AI, I'm sure that we are going to see a ton and ton of new companies, popping up. Uh, and one another advantage is that we see a lot of founders, right, or entrepreneurs, right, who want to become an entrepreneur but didn't had enough technology skill, didn't had enough confidence that they'll be able to create a technology around it, right? They'll be more confident in jumping into entrepreneurship and use these tools to actually create applications, right? And they, as I said, they don't need to look for a very experienced technology team. They can work with less budget, work with limited expertise and create very decent applications, right? And as far as they have the relevant domain experience, they know how to approach the market. They'll always be successful, right? The AI is going to be a small part of it, right? It's not going to be the key differentiator, but it can help you in many ways, right? And another thing is, if you talk about AI startups itself, right? As I was saying, right, the AI is a minor part of it. The whole ecosystem is what matters, right? Um, because if you talk about an enterprise customer or any customer, right? Nobody wants to go and write code, right? ChatGPT gives you an chat interface, but nobody wants to go and chat there, right? They want easy to use interfaces. They want output, right? That's it, right? And as far as you are able to provide that output, you are able to create the entire ecosystem around that AI model. That's where it shines, right? That's what differentiates between academic research and entrepreneurs, right? And we see more and more people using the same tech, exact same technology, exact same models for widely varying use cases, right? A couple of years back, if you see, Google used cat or dog model, right? VCC16 model, right? Which is fairly straightforward model to actually detect whether there is diabetic retinopathy, right? Because at the end of the day, the problem is same, right? You look at two images and differentiate the image, right? And as far as and it's a very different use case, right? So going forward, also that's what we see, right? Now companies creating more and more use cases based on existing technology or marginal improvement in technology, right? And so if you look at some of our portfolio companies itself, right? Like let's say for example, Vitra, right? they create an AI translation system. Translation is not new in by any means of way, right? I mean, it's been there for ages. Google Translate is there for God knows how long, right? But if you want to translate a video, right, you have to jump through hoops and loops, right? You should first extract your audio, then you have to translate, then you have to put it back, and all bunch of things, right? And that whole package is what matters, right? When we look at Vitra as a company, that's what we see, right? A whole package, and for the end customer, that's all they care about. They don't worry about whether the underlying model is, using some kind of transformer model or it's using some kind of APIs. It doesn't matter, right? As far as the customer get what they want, and the company is able to provide the whole ecosystem that goes together with the application. Customer is happy, company is happy, we are happy, right? And the same for Entropic, right? They use facial coding, right? Again, facial coding is nothing new. I mean, it's been there for some time now, right? And it's being, it's going through good evolution as well, both in research and commercial use cases, right? But using that facial coding for targeted ad impacts, right? They have target users, in a controlled environment, and I ask them to watch the video and then figure out what kind of emotions it's generating, right? That use case is what differentiates them, right? And as I said, going forward, we see a lot of companies coming up with this kind of use cases, right? Where the underlying tech is going to be same, whether it's computer vision, whether it's object identification, whether it's action coding, doesn't matter, right? The base principle remains the same, but use case is what matters, right? Like another example is one of the companies which we saw previously, right? They use action coding to figure out if and factory floor is following all the safety procedures, right? And same model can be used for figuring out, figuring out if somebody is, going into a restricted area, right? Basically, same model, same application, right? But different use cases, right? And that's why we are also excited to see how different minds are going to use these tools in their hands to create more and more application use cases, right? And one more thing is, all of us has to be, obviously mindful about the ethical and social concerns and responsibilities, because AI is currently going through that phase, right? So to say, right? People are worried about, AI. AI is going to overrun us, right? So which is not really. I mean, I'm not saying it's yes or no, but at the end of the day, as a VC, as a founder, we have to be mindful about the ethical concerns about our application, right? For example, recently I listened to one podcast and I found that now there's an application which can clone a voice in 3 seconds, right? With 3 seconds of source audio, you can clone anybody's voice, right? And people are using that to scam, right? Basically, so they call up the kid and say, okay, so it's a wrong number or something like that. And in the 3 seconds of kid's response, they'll clone the voice and then they call the parents and say, Mom, Dad, I forgot my social security number. Can you, remind me? I want to fill a job application and so and so, right? And because the voice is exactly the same, they will give, right? So that kind of, ethical concerns is always there. So whoever is building this application has to keep in mind, the repercussions of these use cases, right? Now let's compress all we talked about into one, right? With an example. Let's take enterprise SaaS, right? One of the favorite sectors of VCs, right? Because of recurring revenues and sticky customers and all that, right? For an enterprise customer, they don't care about what technology is powering the system, right? They are only bothered about whether they get results or not, right? You can have the best machine learning model out there, classifying a document, or you can have somebody hired from mechanical to sit and classify it manually, right? As far as the customers get it in time and in an efficient manner, they don't worry about what is behind the system, right? Now it's up to the founder to figure out how technology can be used here, right? To reduce cost, to increase efficiency, to increase accuracy, and any other mode they can create around the product, right? And this is where AI comes in, right? With the rapid rise of AI, and because of the fact that there are a lot of open source or API-driven models out there, and they can hire a 2-year experienced ML engineer to develop fully functional AI systems. It is easier for the founders to take advantage of these developments, right? And that's why we are, enthusiastic that now a lot of new entrepreneurs are going to come into the system, right? And who's going to make that leap of faith to both become entrepreneurs and come up with these no ideas which have long-lasting impacts, right? And some of these companies are really going to change the world, right? As we see, right? Because now things that are previously not possible due to a lack of knowledge, lack of you know because people didn't know how to implement that or how to approach a problem, or uh, it becomes very very easy, right? For example, there was a comic strip sometime back, right, where it was shown that the project manager will come and ask the developer to create an application which looks at a photo and say if there is a bird in the photo or not, right? So the developer will say, yeah, fine. I mean, give me a couple of days, I'll develop that, right? And then he'll say, also find out whether the bird is in the middle of Central Park, right? Then the developer will say, okay, give me 20 people and 5 years and a big ass search grant, right? Because at that time it was very very hard or practically impossible to look at a photo and see whether the photo is taken at a Central Park or not, right? But that changed now. Now all you need is 2 lines of code and you get whether the image is of a bird, and if it's a bird, which particular bird it is, and even gender of the bird to some extent, and where it is taken, right? So with that kind of advancements, a lot of things that was previously thought are very hard to do became very very easy to do now, right? So that's why we are excited, right? I mean, the future is infinite, right? Now we see founders coming up more and more beautiful ideas, right? And we look forward to see how the world turns out to be, right? Okay.